The mining station on Europa was supposed to be safe. That's what they told everyone who signed up for the 5-year contract. Marcus Chen had believed them when he left Earth, trading his cramped apartment in Neo-Singapore for a bunk in the Frozen Moon's underground facility. Now, staring at the emergency lights flashing red across the corridor, he wasn't so sure anymore. "All personnel report to Section C immediately," the automated voice repeated for the 10th time. Marcus grabbed his toolkit and joined the stream of workers hurrying through the metal hallways. The station housed 300 humans and about 50 aliens from various species, mostly Kalari engineers and a handful of others. When he reached Section C, a crowd had already gathered. Security guards in full armor blocked the entrance to the medical bay. Through the transparent aluminum doors, Marcus could see doctors rushing around, their white coats stained with something dark. "What happened?" he asked Jin, another technician. "Another attack," Jin whispered. "They found someone in the lower tunnels. Bad one this time." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. This was the 3rd attack in 2 weeks. Someone, or something, was hunting people in the maintenance areas. The station commander kept saying they were investigating, but fear was spreading faster than information. "Back to your posts," Lieutenant Torres announced, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "There's nothing to see here. We have the situation under control." The crowd began to disperse, but Marcus lingered. He'd been working in those lower tunnels just yesterday, fixing a coolant leak. It could have been him on the other side of those medical doors. As he turned to leave, the medical bay doors suddenly burst open. A figure stumbled out, and Marcus froze. It was Zara. The young Thylorian woman was covered in purple blood, her species blood. Her usually pristine white fur was matted and dark. Tears streamed from her 4 eyes as she pushed past the startled security guards. Marcus had worked with Zara for 2 years. She was quiet, efficient, and kept to herself like most Thylorians did around humans. They'd never had a conversation beyond work assignments. But seeing her like this, trembling and lost, something moved inside him. The security guards reached for their weapons. "Stop right there!" one shouted. Zara spun around, her eyes wild with panic. The Thylorians were a peaceful species. But they were also incredibly strong. If she felt threatened. Marcus didn't think. He stepped forward. "Zara," he said softly. "It's okay. It's me, Marcus." She turned to him, and he saw recognition flicker in her eyes. Her whole body was shaking. The purple blood wasn't just on her fur. It was dripping from deep gashes along her arms and back. They tried to..." She couldn't finish the sentence. Her legs gave out. Marcus moved without hesitation. As she fell, he caught her, pulling her against him. She was covered in blood, crying, and he hugged her anyway. The security guards shouted at him to step back, but Marcus held on. Zara buried her face in his shoulder, her body racked with sobs. He could feel her blood soaking through his jumpsuit, warm and sticky. "Sir, you need to let her go," Lieutenant Torres said, her hand on her sidearm. "She could be dangerous." "She's not dangerous," Marcus said firmly. "She's hurt and scared. Can't you see that?" Dr. Patel pushed through the guards. "He's right. Let me through." The doctor knelt beside them, medical scanner in hand. "Zara, I need to examine you. Can you let me do that?" Zara's grip on Marcus tightened. She whispered something in Thylorian that the translator couldn't catch. "I'll stay with you," Marcus said. "I won't leave, I promise." Slowly, Zara loosened her hold. Dr. Patel ran the scanner over her injuries, his face growing grim. "These wounds, they're defensive. She was fighting someone off." He looked up at Torres. "She's the victim here, not the attacker." Torres lowered her weapon. "Get her back to medical. You," she pointed at Marcus. "You're coming too. I want to know everything you know about her." Marcus helped Zara to her feet. She leaned heavily on him as they walked back to the medical bay. The crowd parted, some faces showing sympathy, others suspicion. Human-alien relations on the station had always been cordial but distant. This kind of physical contact between species was unusual. In the medical bay, nurses cleaned Zara's wounds while Marcus sat nearby. She wouldn't let go of his hand. "Can you tell us what happened?" Dr. Patel asked gently. Zara's voice was barely a whisper. "I was checking the water recycling systems. Someone grabbed me from behind. I couldn't see who. They wore a mask." She shuddered. "They had a knife. Said they were going to make an example of me." "An example?" Torres leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "They said aliens don't belong here, that Europa is for humans only." Fresh tears rolled down her face. "I fought back. I think I hurt them. There was red blood, human blood." The room went silent. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. He'd heard whispers of anti-alien sentiment among some of the newer workers, but he'd never thought it would come to violence. "I ran," Zara continued. "Found an emergency shaft and climbed up. I could hear them behind me, but I kept going." She looked at Marcus. "I'm sorry I got blood on you." "Don't apologize," Marcus said. "You have nothing to be sorry for." Torres activated her communicator. "This is Torres. Lock down all sections. No one leaves their quarters until further notice. And get me a list of everyone who was working in the lower tunnels today." As the medical team worked on Zara's injuries, Marcus stayed by her side. He learned things about her he'd never known. She was an engineer, like him, but with advanced degrees in xenobiology. She'd come to Europa to study the possible life forms in the ocean below. She missed her home planet but loved the work. "Why did you help me?" she asked suddenly. "Most humans would have stayed back." Marcus thought about it. "I don't know. I just couldn't stand seeing you hurt and alone. It wasn't right." "My people believe in the connection," Zara said. "The idea that all living beings are linked by invisible threads. When one suffers, all suffer. Most humans don't believe in such things." "Maybe some of us do," Marcus replied. "We just don't have a name for it." Over the next hours, the investigation intensified. Security found blood traces in the tunnels. Human blood, as Zara had said. They also found a damaged maintenance suit with more blood and white fur caught in the fabric. The station went into full lockdown. Everyone was questioned. Marcus had to give his statement 3 times, explaining why he'd intervened, why he'd touched an injured alien without protective gear, why he'd ignored security protocols. "I did what any decent person would do," he kept saying. But as the hours passed, he realized not everyone saw it that way. He heard whispers in the corridors. Some praised him for his compassion, others called him an alien sympathizer, a traitor to his own species. The breakthrough came when they analyzed the blood from the maintenance suit. It matched a worker named Derek Hoffman, who'd arrived on the last transport from Earth. When security went to his quarters, they found him trying to treat a deep scratch on his arm, the kind Thylorian claws might make. Under interrogation, Hoffman broke. He was part of a group called Human First, dedicated to driving non-humans out of the solar system. They'd been responsible for all the attacks, targeting aliens who worked alone in isolated areas. "Earth is drowning in aliens," Hoffman spat during his recorded confession. "Mars is half Xeno now. The outer colonies are our last chance for pure human worlds. We won't let them take Europa, too." 13 other workers were arrested as part of the cell. The station commander, horrified that such hatred had festered under her watch, implemented new security measures and mandatory species sensitivity training. But the damage was done. The alien workers no longer felt safe. Some requested transfers. Others traveled in groups, no longer trusting their human colleagues. Zara was moved to a secure room while she recovered. Marcus visited every day, bringing her meals and keeping her company. They talked about engineering, about their homes, about their dreams. The connection that had formed in that moment of crisis grew stronger. "I've put in for a transfer," Zara told him one day, "back to the Thylorian research station on Ganymede." Marcus felt his heart sink. "When?" "Next month." "I can't stay here. Even with Hoffman's group gone, I don't feel safe. Too many humans look at me differently now." "Not all of us," Marcus said quietly. "No," she agreed. "Not all." They sat in silence for a while. Then Zara spoke again. "Would you consider a transfer too?" Marcus looked up, surprised. "To Ganymede? They need human engineers for the joint research projects. The pay is better. And—" she hesitated. "I'd like to keep working with you." It was a big decision. Marcus had signed a contract with Europa Station. Breaking it would mean penalties. But looking at Zara, remembering how she'd clung to him when everyone else had backed away, he found the choice wasn't hard at all. "I'll put in my application tomorrow," he said. The news of Marcus's transfer request spread quickly. Some of his human colleagues called him crazy. Others admired his loyalty. Jin clapped him on the back and said, "About time someone showed those xenophobic idiots that humans can be better." Lieutenant Torres pulled him aside one day. "You know what you did in that corridor? It changed things. Not just for Zara, but for a lot of people. Made them think about how they see the aliens we work with." "I didn't do it to make a statement," Marcus said. "I know. That's what made it powerful." The remaining weeks on Europa passed quickly. The station slowly returned to normal operations, though with new protocols in place. Humans and aliens worked side by side, but now there was an awareness that hadn't existed before, both of the dangers of hatred and the possibilities of connection. On his last day, Marcus packed his few belongings. The transport to Ganymede would leave in 6 hours. He made his rounds, saying goodbye to colleagues and friends. He found Zara in the observation lounge, looking out at Jupiter's swirling storms. Her fur had grown back where it had been shaved for medical treatment, pristine white once again. The physical scars were healing, though he knew the emotional ones would take longer. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready," he confirmed. They stood together, watching the giant planet rotate. In a few hours, they'd be on their way to a new start on a different moon. It wasn't how either of them had planned their careers to go, but sometimes the unexpected paths were the right ones. "Thank you," Zara said suddenly, "for that day, for everything since." "You don't have to keep thanking me," Marcus replied. "My people believe that when someone saves your life, you're connected forever," Zara said. "The threads between you become unbreakable." Marcus thought about those invisible threads she'd mentioned. Maybe humans and Thylorians weren't so different after all. Maybe all thinking beings were connected in ways they didn't fully understand. "I like that idea," he said. As they watched Jupiter together, waiting for their new beginning, Marcus reflected on how a moment of simple human, or perhaps simply sentient, compassion had changed everything. He'd reached out to someone in pain regardless of species or protocol or what others might think. And in doing so, he discovered something profound about himself and about the future humanity was building among the stars. It wasn't about keeping species separate or maintaining some idea of purity. It was about recognition, seeing the person inside the alien form, understanding that suffering and fear and hope were universal. The transport alarm sounded. Time to go. As they walked toward the docking bay, other workers stopped to wish them well. Some were human, some alien. All of them had been changed, in small ways or large, by what had happened. Marcus and Zara boarded the transport together, ready for whatever came next. The threads of connection stretched out before them, invisible but unbreakable, weaving a new pattern in the tapestry of human and alien relations. And it had all started with a simple act, a hug given freely to someone who needed it, regardless of the blood, the tears, or the differences between them. The Ganymede Research Station was nothing like Europa. Where Europa Station had been all harsh metal corridors and industrial efficiency, Ganymede featured sweeping transparent domes that offered breathtaking views of Jupiter. Gardens grew in specially designed habitats, mixing earth plants with flora from a dozen different worlds. Marcus Chen stood in the arrival bay, his single bag of belongings at his feet. Beside him, Zara looked equally overwhelmed. Her white fur caught the soft, artificial sunlight streaming through the transparent aluminum overhead. "Welcome to Ganymede," a cheerful voice called out. A tall woman with short gray hair approached them, her smile genuine. "I'm Director Sarah Martinez. You must be our new arrivals from Europa." She shook hands with Marcus, then offered the traditional Thylorian greeting to Zara. Palms pressed together, a slight bow. Marcus noticed how naturally she performed the gesture. "We heard about what happened on Europa," Martinez said, her expression growing serious. "I want you both to know that we have zero tolerance for that kind of hatred here. Ganymede was founded on principles of interspecies cooperation. We mean it." She led them through the station, pointing out various facilities. Humans and aliens didn't just work together here, they lived together. The cafeteria served cuisine from 15 different worlds. The recreation areas accommodated various species' needs for exercise and relaxation. Children, human and alien alike, attended the same school. "Your quarters are in Block C," Martinez explained. "Mixed species housing. I hope that's acceptable?" "More than acceptable," Marcus said, glancing at Zara. She gave a small nod of agreement. Their apartments were side by side, sharing a common area. The designers had taken both species' needs into account. The temperature could be adjusted in different zones, the lighting had multiple spectrum settings, and there were both human-style furniture and Thylorian rest platforms. "I'll let you settle in," Martinez said. "Your work assignments start tomorrow." "Marcus, you'll be with the Deep Ice Drilling Team. Zara, Xenobiology Lab 4. Oh, and there's a welcome gathering tonight in the main plaza. Nothing formal, just a chance to meet your colleagues." After she left, Marcus and Zara explored their new home. It was larger than anything they'd had on Europa, with actual windows looking out onto Ganymede's icy surface. "It's different here," Zara observed. "The feeling in the air, less tension." Marcus nodded. He'd noticed it too. On Europa, humans and aliens had coexisted, but rarely truly mingled. Here, the integration seemed genuine. That evening, they attended the welcome gathering. The main plaza was a marvel of engineering, a huge open space under a transparent dome, with trees from multiple worlds creating a unique forest. Soft, bioluminescent plants from Thylorian provided natural lighting as Ganymede's long night began. Marcus was surprised to see children running between the trees, playing some kind of game that involved both human kids and young aliens of various species. Their laughter echoed through the plaza. "That's encouraging," a voice said beside him. Marcus turned to find a human man about his age, holding 2 drinks. "Tom Bradley, Atmospheric Systems. You must be the engineer from Europa." "Marcus Chen," he replied, accepting the offered drink. "This is Zara." Tom smiled at the Thylorian. "I heard about what happened. Brave of you to fight back. Those human-first idiots tried to start a chapter here about a year ago. We shut them down hard." "How?" Zara asked. "Community response," Tom said. "When they held their first meeting, 300 people showed up to counter-protest, humans and aliens standing together. The would-be organizers took one look at the crowd and got on the next transport out." As the evening progressed, Marcus and Zara met dozens of their new colleagues. The human engineers welcomed Marcus warmly, eager to hear about Europa's mining operations. The xenobiology team practically adopted Zara on the spot, excited to have someone with her expertise. But what struck Marcus most was how naturally everyone interacted. A human woman discussed her children's education with a Kalari parent. A group of young professionals, mixed species, planned a hiking expedition on the surface. An elderly human man played some kind of board game with a Vraxian, their laughter carrying across the plaza. "It's really possible," Zara said quietly as they watched the gathering. "True cooperation between species." "Seems like it," Marcus agreed. Then he noticed she was shivering slightly. "Cold?" "A little. My species doesn't regulate temperature as well as humans." Without thinking, Marcus shrugged off his jacket and draped it around her shoulders. It was the same instinctive gesture of care that had started everything on Europa. A few people noticed, smiling at the sight, but there were no stares, no whispers. Here, it was just one friend helping another. The next months passed in a blur of work and discovery. Marcus threw himself into the deep ice drilling project. They were searching for signs of life in Ganymede's subsurface ocean, work that required delicate engineering to penetrate kilometers of ice without contaminating the water below. His team was led by Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant engineer who happened to be married to a Kalari physicist. "The trick," she explained during his first day, "is thinking beyond human solutions. Every species brings unique perspectives. Zara's people, for instance, have sensory capabilities that let them detect molecular changes we'd miss. That's why diverse teams succeed where single-species efforts fail." Marcus found this to be true. His Vraxian colleague, Thex, could visualize complex 3D structures in ways human minds struggled with. The Kalari engineer, Shisp, had an intuitive understanding of crystalline structures that proved invaluable when dealing with Ganymede's exotic ice formations. Meanwhile, Zara flourished in the xenobiology lab. Her work on extremophile organisms found in Europa's ice helped the team develop new theories about potential life in Ganymede's ocean. She often worked late, lost in her research, and Marcus got into the habit of bringing her dinner when she forgot to eat. Their friendship deepened. They explored the station together, tried foods from different worlds, attended cultural events. Marcus learned to appreciate Thylorian music, complex harmonies that human ears could barely distinguish. Zara developed a taste for human coffee, though she could only handle it in small doses. One evening, about 3 months after their arrival, they sat in their shared common area, watching Jupiter rise over Ganymede's horizon. Zara was working on a research paper while Marcus reviewed drilling plans. "I've been thinking," Zara said suddenly, "about that day on Europa, about why you helped me." Marcus looked up from his tablet. "Yeah? You said you didn't know why. Have you figured it out yet?" He set down his tablet, considering. I think it was recognition. When I saw you stumbling out of that medical bay, hurt and afraid, I didn't see a Thylorian. I just saw someone who needed help, the same way I'd want someone to help me." "The connection," Zara said softly. "My grandmother used to say that the universe puts us where we need to be, with the people we need to meet. I didn't believe her. Too mystical, not scientific enough." She paused. "But then you caught me when I fell, and everything changed." There was something in her voice, a weight to the words. Marcus felt his heart rate increase. Over the months, his feelings for Zara had evolved from friendship into something deeper. But interspecies relationships, while not forbidden, were complicated. Different biologies, different lifespans, different social expectations. Before he could respond, his communicator buzzed. Emergency alert. "All hands to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, all hands to emergency stations." They ran to the command center, finding it in controlled chaos. Director Martinez stood before a large display showing Ganymede's orbital position. "What's happening?" someone asked. "We've detected an unauthorized ship approaching Ganymede," Martinez announced. It's not responding to hails and it's not on any scheduled arrival lists. Security teams are preparing for possible hostile action. Marcus felt Zara tense beside him. The memory of Europa was still fresh. Could it be human first? Someone asked. We don't know yet, Martinez said. But we're not taking chances. I want all non-essential personnel to move to secure areas. Security and emergency response teams only from here on. As people began to disperse, Martinez caught Marcus's eye. Chen, you have Europa experience. I want you with the security team. Zara, Xenobiology Lab 4 has a secure bunker. Go there and wait. But, Zara started. That's an order, Martinez said firmly, but not unkindly. We protect our people here. All of them. Marcus squeezed Zara's hand. It'll be okay. I'll find you when it's over. She nodded reluctantly and headed for the labs. Marcus joined the security team where he was given a basic defensive weapon and a quick briefing. The ship's small, Lieutenant Commander Walsh explained. Personal transport could hold maybe 20 people. It's running dark. No transponder, no identification. ETA 15 minutes. Those were the longest 15 minutes of Marcus's life. The security team positioned themselves at potential entry points. The station's defenses, modest but effective, powered up. Then, 10 minutes out, the ship finally responded to hails. Ganymede Station, this is independent transport vessel Hope's Dream. We're carrying refugees. Repeat, we are carrying refugees. Request immediate medical assistance. Martinez took over communications. Hope's Dream, this is Director Martinez. What kind of refugees? Why are you running dark? The voice that answered was strained, exhausted. Mixed group, humans and aliens. We escaped from a human-first detention camp on asteroid 4429. They were going to... Please, we have injured. Some critical. The command center fell silent. Rumors had circulated about Human First establishing illegal detention centers in the asteroid belt, but there'd been no proof. Let them dock, Martinez ordered. Medical teams to Bay 3. Security, maintain positions but weapons down unless threatened. Marcus watched through a security monitor as the battered ship limped into the docking bay. It was scarred with weapon fire, barely holding together. The airlock opened, and people stumbled out. Humans and aliens, all showing signs of malnutrition and abuse. Some had to be carried. A human woman supported a Kalari whose arm hung at an unnatural angle. A Thylorian male carried a human child who wasn't moving. Dear God, someone whispered. The medical teams rushed forward. As the refugees were helped to the medical center, their story emerged in fragments. Human First had been kidnapping mixed groups, humans who worked closely with aliens, aliens who lived in human communities. They called them race traders and contamination. The camp on asteroid 4429 had been brutal. Forced labor, re-education sessions, punishment for any sign of interspecies friendship. The escape had been planned for months, humans and aliens working together in secret. When the opportunity came, they'd fought their way to a single ship and run. They'll come after us, one refugee, a human man named David, told the security debrief. His partner, a Vraxian female, hadn't let go of his hand since they'd arrived. Human First has ships. They won't let us testify about what we've seen. Martinez's expression was granite. Let them try. Ganymede stands with you. All of you. The station mobilized. The refugees were given medical care, food, quarters. The human child, who thankfully survived, was reunited with her Kalari guardian. Stories of suffering emerged, but also tales of incredible bravery and solidarity. Marcus was assigned to help integrate the refugees. Many were traumatized, struggling to believe they were truly safe. He worked with them, human and alien alike, hearing their stories and helping them adjust. One evening, he found a young human woman sitting alone in the observation lounge, staring at Jupiter. Mind if I sit? he asked. She shrugged. As they sat in silence, she finally spoke. They told us we were betraying our species. That caring about aliens made us less human. Do you believe that? Marcus asked gently. I did once, she admitted. Before I was taken. I was human first. Low level, just spreading propaganda. Then I fell in love with a Thylorian man. When they found out, they took us both. Put us in the camp. Tears ran down her face. He died protecting me during the escape. A alien gave his life for a human who'd hated his kind. How do I live with that? Marcus thought of Zara, of that moment on Europa. By being better, by making sure his sacrifice meant something, by choosing connection over hate every single day. The woman nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. The Thylorians believe in something called the connection. I know, Marcus said. I'm starting to believe in it too. Later that night, he found Zara in their common area. She'd been working with the xenobiology team to provide specialized nutrition for some of the alien refugees. Long day, she said as he collapsed on the couch. The longest, he agreed. But worth it. We saved lives today. The station saved lives, Zara corrected. All of us together. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Zara spoke again. I've been thinking about those refugees, how humans and aliens suffered together, escaped together. It's horrible, but also... She searched for the words. Proof that the bonds between us are real, that the connection crosses species lines. Marcus moved closer to her on the couch. Zara, I need to tell you something. These past months, working with you, living beside you, I've developed feelings, more than friendship. She turned to face him, her 4 eyes wide. Marcus! I know it's complicated, he rushed on. Different species, different everything. But I also know that what we have is real. And after today, seeing what hate can do, I don't want to waste time being afraid of what others might think. Zara was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out, taking his hand in hers. Her fur was soft, her grip gentle but firm. My people have a saying, she said. Love is the thread that binds the universe. It doesn't care about forms or boundaries. She squeezed his hand. I have feelings too. I have for a while. They moved closer. And for the first time since that desperate hug on Europa, they embraced by choice. It was different this time. Not desperation, but affection. Not fear, but hope. In the weeks that followed, their relationship became public knowledge. On Europa, it might have caused scandal. On Ganymede, it was met with quiet support. They weren't the first interspecies couple on the station, nor would they be the last. The refugee situation escalated when Human First did indeed come looking for their escaped prisoners. 3 ships appeared at the edge of Ganymede's space, demanding the return of stolen property. This time, Ganymede was ready, but they weren't alone. Ships from other colonies, Mars, Titan, even some from Earth, had responded to Martinez's call for support. Human and alien crews standing together against hate. This is Admiral Chen of the Combined Fleet, came the transmission. Marcus started at hearing his family name, though the Admiral was no relation. Human First vessels, you are in violation of interplanetary law. Stand down or be fired upon. The Human First ships, faced with overwhelming force and unity, retreated. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The revelation of the detention camps had shocked the solar system. Investigations were launched. The unity between humans and aliens, tested by hate, had grown stronger. Marcus and Zara watched from the observation deck as the Allied ships departed. Their hands were intertwined, no longer concerned who might see. Things are changing, Zara observed. Yeah, Marcus agreed. For the better, I hope. She leaned against him, her warmth comforting. My grandmother would have liked you. She always said the connection works in mysterious ways, that sometimes it takes darkness to reveal the light. Marcus thought about their journey, from that blood-soaked corridor on Europa to this moment of quiet triumph. The threads of connection had indeed woven something beautiful from tragedy. As Jupiter continued its eternal dance in the sky above them, Marcus and Zara stood together, proof that love and compassion could bridge any gap, overcome any difference. They were just one couple on one station, but they were part of something larger, a future where the connection between all sentient beings was recognized and celebrated. The work would continue. There would be more challenges, more hate to overcome, but there would also be more moments like this, two people from different worlds, choosing each other, choosing hope. And that was how the future would be built, one connection at a time. 5 years had passed since the refugee crisis on Ganymede. The solar system had changed dramatically in that time. The exposure of Human First's detention camps had sparked a movement, not just of resistance against hate, but of active integration between species. Marcus Chen stood in the command center of the New Horizon, humanity's first truly integrated colony ship. As chief engineer, he oversaw systems designed by minds from 15 different species. It was ambitious, maybe impossible, but that's what made it worth doing. "Final systems check in 10 minutes, his assistant announced. Around him, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. Humans, Thylorians, Kalari, Vraxians, and others, all united in purpose. The door chimed and Zara entered, wearing the blue uniform of the chief xenobiologist. Even after 5 years together, Marcus felt his heart skip when he saw her. They'd married 2 years ago in a ceremony that blended human and Thylorian traditions. It hadn't been legally recognized everywhere, but Ganymede and the progressive colonies honored it. "The biological samples are secured," she reported to Captain Rodriguez, then caught Marcus's eye with a small smile. "Excellent," Rodriguez said. "How are you feeling about the journey, Dr. Chen?" Zara had taken Marcus's surname, a choice that surprised both their families. "Ready," she said simply. "The first colony outside our solar system should represent all of us, not just one species." The New Horizon mission had been controversial, sending a mixed crew on a 10-year journey to establish a colony around Proxima Centauri. Many called it foolish. But after the near disaster with Human First, the progressive faction had argued that isolation bred extremism. Only together could they build something lasting. Marcus ran through his final checks. The ship's fusion drives were a marvel of collaborative engineering. The life support systems accommodated 8 different atmospheric preferences. The hydroponics bays grew food from 12 worlds. Every system represented compromise and innovation. "All stations report ready," came the call. "This is it," Rodriguez announced over the ship's communication system. "In a few minutes, we begin a journey that our ancestors could only dream of. 500 souls, human and otherwise, venturing into the unknown together. We carry the hopes, not just of our individual species, but of the idea that different kinds of consciousness can build something greater together." Marcus found Zara's hand as the countdown began. Through the viewports, they could see the escort ships, a mixed fleet, come to see them off. Ganymede Station was visible in the distance, the place where their journey together had truly begun. 10, 9, 8. The engines hummed to life, power flowing through systems designed by diverse minds working as one. 3, 2, 1, ignition. The New Horizon lurched forward, acceleration pressing them into their seats. The journey to the stars had begun. 6 months into the voyage, the first crisis hit. It started small, a malfunction in the Sector 7 atmospheric processors. Marcus led the repair team, crawling through maintenance shafts with his mixed-species crew. "The crystalline matrix is fractured," Thex observed, the Vraxians' ability to perceive molecular structures proving invaluable once again. Microfractures spreading in a pattern I've never seen. Marcus studied the damage. Something was wrong. This wasn't normal wear and tear. Run a full diagnostic, he ordered. Check every system that's been accessed in the last week. The results were troubling. Small malfunctions appearing throughout the ship, all in critical but not immediately life-threatening systems. It looked random, but Marcus's instincts screamed sabotage. He brought his concerns to Captain Rodriguez and the security chief, Commander Okonkwo. "You think we have a saboteur?" Rodriguez asked. "The pattern is too deliberate to be coincidence," Marcus insisted. "Someone's trying to cripple us slowly. Make it look like system failures." Okonkwo frowned. "We screened everyone. No human first sympathizers made it aboard." "Maybe they hid it better this time," Marcus suggested. "Or maybe it's not human first. There are extremists in other species too." The investigation began quietly. They couldn't afford panic in the enclosed environment of a colony ship. Marcus continued his repairs while security investigated. Zara helped by analyzing the pattern of failures, looking for biological or chemical markers that might identify the saboteur. Then the attacks escalated. A major coolant leak in the fusion reactor required emergency repairs. If Marcus's team hadn't caught it in time, it could have forced them to shut down the engines, stranding them between stars. "This has to stop," Rodriguez declared at an emergency meeting of senior staff. "We're going to have to search every quarter, question everyone." "That could tear us apart," Dr. Yuki Tanaka warned. She'd joined the mission as head of social dynamics. "Start treating everyone as suspects and the trust we've built crumbles." "What choice do we have?" Okonkwo countered. "Someone's trying to kill us all." "Not all," Zara said quietly. Everyone turned to her. "The targets are all integration points, systems where multiple species technologies merge. Someone doesn't want us to succeed in working together." The realization hit the room like a shock wave. The saboteur wasn't trying to destroy the ship. They were trying to prove that integration itself was a failure. "Double security on all integrated systems," Rodriguez ordered. "And I want psychological profiles reviewed. Look for anyone showing signs of stress about interspecies cooperation." Days passed in tense vigilance. Marcus barely slept, constantly monitoring systems and racing to prevent the next failure. The crew's mood darkened as suspicion grew. The easy camaraderie of the early months faded into wary silence. Then Zara made a breakthrough. Not in the investigation, but in an unexpected place, the ship's kindergarten. She'd been visiting to talk to the children about the planets they'd passed, part of the education program. The class was mixed, as everything on the ship was. Human children learning alongside young Thylorians, Kalari, and others. "Mrs. Chen," a human girl named Emma raised her hand. "Why is everyone so scared lately?" Zara knelt to the child's level. "There have been some problems with the ship, but we're fixing them." "My daddy says it's because humans and aliens shouldn't live together," Emma said matter-of-factly. "He says we're too different." Zara felt her blood chill. "What else does your daddy say?" The innocent words of children revealed what surveillance had missed. Several families harbored deep reservations about the integrated mission. They'd hidden it during screening, gone along with the program, but in the privacy of their quarters, old prejudices survived. "It's not necessarily them," Okonkwo warned when Zara reported her discovery. "Prejudice doesn't equal sabotage." "No," Zara agreed, "but it's a place to start." The investigation focused on a cluster of families in Sector 12. Careful observation revealed subtle patterns. Certain individuals who always happened to be near systems before they failed. Maintenance logs accessed by people with no reason to view them. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Shisp, the Kalari engineer from Marcus's team, requested a private meeting. "I know who it is," she said. her crystalline form trembling with stress. "But you won't believe me." "Try us," Rodriguez said. "It's not a human," Shisp revealed. "It's one of my own people. Ketek in the science division. I've seen him near the damaged systems. And," she hesitated, "he's part of a Kalari purist group. They believe contact with other species weakens our crystalline harmony." The room fell silent. They'd been so focused on human extremism, they'd forgotten other species had their own supremacists. "Are you sure?" Rodriguez asked gently. "I overheard him sending encoded messages home. The purists think if the mission fails, it will prove species should remain separate. He's not alone. There are others, not all Kalari, who agree." The arrest was swift and quiet. Ketek didn't resist, maintaining the typical Kalari calm even as security restrained him. In his quarters, they found evidence of the sabotage and communications with extremist groups from multiple species. "You understand nothing," Ketek said during interrogation, his harmonic voice carrying disdain. "This mixing, this dilution of what makes each species unique, it's an abomination. In trying to become everything, we become nothing." "You're wrong," Marcus said. He wasn't supposed to be there, but Rodriguez had allowed it. "I've seen what we can build together. Systems no single species could create. Solutions born from different ways of thinking." "Temporary successes," Ketek dismissed. "In generations, what will remain? Hybrid offspring who belong nowhere? Cultures forgotten in the name of unity? You humans spread your influence like a virus, and weak minds like Shisps embrace the contamination?" Zara stepped forward. "I'm carrying a hybrid child," she said quietly. Marcus started. They'd only found out a week ago and hadn't told anyone yet. "Human and Thylorian. The first of many, I hope. And they won't belong nowhere. They'll belong everywhere. They'll be bridges between worlds." Ketek's calm finally cracked. "Impossible. The biology. Difficult, not impossible," Zara continued. "With genetic assistance and careful monitoring. My child will live and grow and represent the future you're so afraid of, a future where the connection between all sentient beings is literal, not just philosophical." The revelations spread through the ship like wildfire. A human Thylorian child. Something most had thought impossible. Reactions ranged from wonder to concern to joy. Marcus found himself at the center of attention he'd never sought. But as he held Zara that night in their quarters, he felt only happiness. "You could have told me first," he said with mock indignation. "I wanted to surprise you properly." Ketek forced my hand. She curled against him. "Are you ready for this? A child who'll grow up between stars, never knowing a single world as home." "They'll know the ship as home," Marcus said. "And more importantly, they'll grow up in a place where being different is normal, where connection across species lines isn't strange but celebrated." The pregnancy became a rallying point for the ship. Even those who'd harbored doubts found themselves caught up in the excitement. The medical team, led by doctors from 3 different species, monitored Zara carefully. It was indeed a difficult pregnancy, requiring constant adjustment and innovation. Marcus threw himself into creating the safest possible environment for their child. He designed a nursery that could adjust its environment to accommodate both human and Thylorian needs. Other mixed couples on the ship, inspired by their example, began consulting with medical about their own possibilities. But there was darkness, too. Ketek's network was larger than initially thought. 2 other saboteurs were uncovered, a human who'd hidden his human-first connections and a Vraxian who believed in species purity. Their removal created gaps in critical positions that had to be filled quickly. "We need a new approach," Rodriguez announced at a ship-wide meeting 6 months after Ketek's arrest. "No more hiding from this. We're going to drag every prejudice, every fear into the light." What followed were weeks of difficult conversations, moderated discussions where people could voice their concerns about integration. Some worried about losing their cultural identity. Others feared their children would be caught between worlds. Many admitted to moments of discomfort or misunderstanding with other species. Good, Dr. Tanaka said at one such session. Discomfort means you're growing. The goal isn't to erase differences, but to celebrate them while finding common ground. Marcus found himself sharing his own journey, from the insular Europa station to that moment with Zara, covered in blood and tears. How a single act of compassion had changed his entire life trajectory. I was just a technician who kept his head down, he admitted. I didn't think about the bigger picture. But when you see someone suffering, really see them, species stops mattering. The connection. My wife's people talk about, it's real. We just have to be brave enough to acknowledge it. Stories poured out. A Kalari engineer talked about her human mentor who'd taught her to think beyond crystalline logic. A human pilot described how a Vraxian's different perception of space had saved their shuttle from disaster. Children spoke about their cross-species friendships with matter-of-fact acceptance that shamed their parents' hesitations. Slowly, the ship healed. The integration that Ketek had tried to destroy grew stronger for having been tested. New protocols were established, not just for security, but for cultural exchange and understanding. Marcus's child was born as the ship passed the halfway point to Proxima Centauri. The delivery was complicated, requiring techniques from multiple medical traditions. But when the baby finally arrived, a tiny being with human features but 4 eyes and patches of soft white fur, the entire ship seemed to hold its breath. "She's perfect," Zara whispered, exhausted but radiant. Marcus held his daughter for the first time, overwhelmed by emotions he couldn't name. She was so small, so fragile, but also the embodiment of everything they were trying to build. They named her Luna, for Earth's moon, where humans had first truly reached beyond their world, and gave her a Thylorian name as well, Shen, meaning bridge between. Luna's birth sparked others. Within a year, 3 more hybrid children were born, human Kalari, Vraxian human, and others. The medical teams worked overtime, learning to accommodate new biological combinations. Each birth was a celebration and a learning experience. The children grew up in an environment unlike anything in history. To them, diversity wasn't a goal, but a reality. They switched between languages effortlessly, played games that combined traditions from multiple worlds, and never questioned why their families looked different from others. Marcus often found himself in the observation lounge with Luna, showing her the stars streaming past. She had his curiosity and Zara's perceptiveness, seeing patterns he missed. "Daddy," she said one day, now 3 years old and precocious, "will the new world have people like me?" "It will have exactly people like you," Marcus assured her. "You and your friends will help build it." "Good," she declared with the confidence only a child could have. "It should be for everyone." As they neared their destination, the true test began. Building a colony from scratch would require every skill, every perspective. The planet they'd chosen had its own challenges, weather patterns unlike anything on Earth or the other homeworlds, chemistry that required constant adaptation. "The atmospheric processor designs aren't working," the terraforming team reported. "The local compounds are reacting unexpectedly." Marcus assembled a team of the ship's best minds. As they worked, he watched the easy collaboration, humans and aliens building on each other's ideas, finding solutions no single species would have reached. Ketek had been wrong. They weren't becoming nothing by mixing. They were becoming more than the sum of their parts. The solution came from Luna, of all people. Playing with a mixed set of toys from Earth and Thylorian, she created a pattern that sparked an idea in one of the watching engineers. Out of the mouths of babes, Dr. Tanaka laughed as they implemented a design inspired by a child's game. The colony ship entered orbit around their new world, a planet they'd decided to call Haven. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs to shape. All departments report ready for colonization phase, came the announcement. Marcus stood with his family on the observation deck. Zara held Luna, who pressed her 4 eyes against the viewport in wonder. Below them turned a world of possibilities. "Your mom and I came from different worlds," Marcus told his daughter. "Now we're going to build a new one, together." "For everyone," Luna repeated her constant refrain. "For everyone," Zara agreed. As the first shuttles prepared to launch, carrying the advanced teams to the surface, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. From a corridor on Europa, where he'd chosen compassion over protocol, to a ship between stars where that choice had been tested and proven right. They would face challenges on Haven. There would be hardships, disagreements, moments when the differences between species seemed insurmountable. But they'd also have the children, Luna and her cohort, who saw diversity as natural, who would grow up knowing that the connection between sentient beings was not just philosophy, but lived reality. The last shuttle call included Marcus's team. As they prepared to descend to their new world, he caught sight of their reflection in the polished hull. Human and Thylorian and Kalari and Vraxian and others, united in purpose. Ketek's faction had tried to stop this, as Human First had before them. Both had failed because they'd underestimated the power of connection. "Ready?" Zara asked, sensing his contemplation. "Ready," Marcus confirmed, shifting Luna to his other arm. "Let's go build something impossible." They boarded the shuttle, an engineer, a xenobiologist, and their impossible daughter. As they descended toward Haven's surface, toward the future they'd chosen to create, Marcus allowed himself a moment of pure hope. Somewhere in the galaxy, on a dozen worlds, extremists still preached separation and purity. But here, falling toward a new world with his mixed species family and crew, Marcus knew they'd already won the most important battle. They'd proven that love, compassion, and cooperation could transcend any boundary. Luna pressed against the shuttle window, watching the clouds part to reveal the landscape below. Her 4 eyes were wide with wonder, seeing possibilities her parents could only imagine. "Home," she said simply. "Home," Marcus agreed. And in that moment, as they broke through Haven's atmosphere carrying the hopes of multiple species, the future had never looked brighter. They would build something here that had never existed before. A world where being covered in blood and crying would always be met with a hug, regardless of whose blood or whose tears. The connection that bound all consciousness would have a physical home at last. And it would start with them. The unlikely family born from a moment of compassion, proof that the universe's greatest strength lay not in separation, but in the bridges built between different kinds of minds and hearts. The shuttle touched down on Haven's surface. The real work was about to begin.